Hello and welcome to Ep.7 of Snack Break, the perfect podcast to pop on while preparing your cup of tea or ideal snack or beverage. It's the second show of our brand new podcast schedule, so if you're listening to this on the third Monday of September, then good job me for editing it on time, I guess. Anywho, we're sticking to our promise of a small show with a big impact, as this episode is jam-packed with content. Sticking to tradition, of course, we'll be kicking things off with pop culture news before we herald the return of a seasonal feature from my old show. I do love a good seasonal feature. Strictly recap, ramble on about the latest hits and flops in Bendigo's musical musings, and announce the next guest to be joining me on the show. So, let's begin. But before all that, I'd like to draw your attention to a little YouTube channel called Audio Insider. Now, fellow podcast or radio nerds such as myself may know this show, as they've recently relaunched and rebranded into an all-new, all-star lineup of guests and presenters, many of which came from their previous amazing efforts at radio.co. However, this isn't Bendigo's podcast perusing, so what the heck am I talking about? Well, this week, one of their presenters introduced the show with a Gen Z reading of their normal intro. Here it is now. Editing Bendigo here. I sadly was unable to use the necessary clip because for the YouTube short required, they had inserted part of your symphony. Yep, that one. Which would most definitely get copyright strikes. So just go check it out on their channel. I'll link it in the show notes. Apologies. It was appropriate seeing as they were discussing the marketing strategies surrounding Charlie XCX's Brat Summer. By the way, happy end of Brat Summer to all you that celebrated. But it got me thinking, should I introduce Snack Break this way? Hello, my skibbities, and welcome to Snack Break, the double P show to penetrate your head for the next 20 minutes. Today's show is giving real main character energy, autumnal vibes, no cap, and... No, supposedly after this I should say I'm going to be rizzing my way up the podcast charts, but just... No! It's time now, though, for this week's edition of Pop Culture News. And it would be inappropriate to begin with anything other than the obvious. The trailer for a Minecraft movie released with the Jason Momoa starring flick based on the hit video game circling the internet like crazy. If you want to hear my full extended thoughts on that, you can find those over on the Bendigo Blue Gaming channel. It's about 10 minutes long. Is it? Hang on. We've got the tab here. 10 minutes long or so of my thoughts. I'm sort of somewhere in the middle to give you a brief spoiler. But if you want things a little bit more in depth, you can go check things out over there. In other Minecraft news, Mojang announced recently that Minecraft Live will not be happening just once a year, but it will be taking place twice a year, actually. As I'm recording this at the moment, Minecraft Live numero uno, or, well, the one Minecraft Live for 2024, is just getting underway as we speak. So that is very, very exciting. I mentioned on one of my live streams recently that the decision to go for two is quite interesting to me. Personally, I've always been a big fan of Minecraft Live as cozy, autumnal, getting almost towards Halloween. It's a nice little mood setter in a sense, but perhaps it will become as much an icon of sort of March, April, springtime as it is start of autumn. Dan DDM released a trailer for a brand new Minecraft channel, Dan and Trey. The channel, which gained over 400,000 subscribers from just one video, promises to revive the YouTuber's early 2010s mod reviews, with characters such as Craig the Postman, Grim the Dog, and of course Dr. Triars himself set for return. This is really interesting, I think, because it's almost in a similar... I don't want to say a similar predicament, because that makes it sound like it's automatically going to go badly. And the first video dropped just a few days ago now, and we can already see it seems to be doing pretty well, coming up on 1 million subscribers. 1 million views or so, I should say, sorry. But it's in an interesting position, similarly to Stampy's Lovely World, because realistically, a lot of the viewers are going to be sort of nostalgia hunters, people who watched the original mod reviews as kids and maybe want to come back every now and again to, get that nice little buzz that you that you find from watching something that is quite deeply nostalgic to you. And I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how that nostalgic audience react. Are they going to stick around, or are they just going to be popping in every now and again? Because I could be entirely wrong in believing this, but people who popped into Stampy's Lovely World, for example, I know I keep referencing it, for nostalgic purposes, my prediction would be that they didn't stick around for the long haul after that. They didn't get back into it. They were just watching it once, get that low buzz, as I mentioned, and then out again. So they're almost going to have to target a new audience. Well, that's my prediction. But what do I know anyway? I've got, 34 subscribers, not 26 million. So, hey, I'm sure it's going to be a hit. In other news, the trailer for Ep.7 released. The feature-length adaptation of Ashton Edwards' 2022 novel is being helmed by Parasite director Bong Joon-ho and will star Robert Pattinson as the titular character. This looks very cool. I haven't actually read the book in question. We'll probably have to. I believe there's 2 of them out by now, with the 3rd installment in the trilogy underway, currently in production, as you could say. It is a relatively quick turnaround, considering that it only released 3 years ago maximum now, but clearly Warner Bros. Saw potential in it, and I can see where they're going with this. It looks very, very good. Robert Pattinson once again demonstrating, as many people commented, that he can turn his hand to, just about anything. Batman, Ep.7, totally different characters, but totally wonderful in both of them. And excitingly, at long last, the trailer for the Dogman trailer released! Yes! We've been waiting since 2019! Heck yeah! The movie, which is set to release in January, is based on the series of graphic novels by Dave Pilkey, with the trailer displaying the popping colours, ridiculous buildings, and lovable characters that found the series' global success. I cannot wait for this. I'm absolutely ecstatic. Watched Captain Underpants movie way back in 2017, a whole lifetime ago, honestly, before getting into the series, and as a result of reading a few Captain Underpants books, absolutely adored Dogman, and I was so excited when I heard about the movie adaptation being greenlit, and now finally, I've been waiting for it, finally got that trailer. So, I've heard varying reports as to how this is going to be distributed. I've heard some people say it will be a sort of conglomeration of Netflix, Peacock, and what have you. But on Dave Pilkey's YouTube channel, I believe it says exclusively in theaters. So I'm crossing my fingers for the latter. I think it's an incredibly visually appealing movie. We can already see that DreamWorks, or we've seen already with The Wild Robot and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, something I'm very keen on, DreamWorks leaning a bit more into that stylistic side, which obviously Spider-Verse effect, but nonetheless is very, very exciting. So cross my fingers for a cinematic release so I can go see that on my big screen. But that's all for this episode's edition of Pop Culture News. And it's time now for Bendigo's musical musings, and they are back. Coldplay are back. Yes, that is right. Following what seems like centuries of touring and singing and jumping and Chris Martin talking about peace-loving audiences, the band have returned to our eardrums. Return to our eardrums? Okay, sure. With a brand new album, Moon Music. It is set to release on the 4th of October 2024, so just a mere few days away from when I'm recording this episode. We've obviously had a few pretty big singles coming out of it so far. Feels Like I'm Falling in Love, and you've got to say it like that, along with quite a few other songs that so far, I've quite liked. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, you may be saying, but Bendigo. In 2022, Coldplay said that they're finishing in 2025. Everybody panic. Oh, no, yeah. Stop panicking. It is currently unclear-ish whether Moon Music will be Coldplay's final album. With Chris Martin stating a few years prior that yes, in 2025, Coldplay will stop writing music and releasing records. However, they will continue touring. Chris Martin of Coldplay fame has also said in a BBC radio interview, our last proper record will come out in 2025, and after that, I think we will only tour. So, fingers crossed, they've got one more left in the tank, but let's not focus on that. Let's focus on Moon Music. Now, from what I've heard of this album so far, it hasn't entirely hit my expectations. Although I liked Feels Like I'm Falling in Love just as much as the next guy, it just felt a little bit not quite there. And I realise, and I want to state again, these are just my own stupid opinions, so take them with a bag of salt if you must. But obviously, to me, it feels like in recent years Coldplay has been steering into that upbeat, poppy, mega peaceful vibe, which obviously we've become very familiar with. I think their Glastonbury set was particularly reminiscent of some of that. They obviously played some of their sadder songs as well, but it's peace, love and goodness, as we talked about earlier. And they've really dived into the more poppy, upbeat aspect of it compared to some of their earlier records, which were quite sad, you could say. Very mellow would be another way of putting it, but yeah, sad. Their songs like Orphans and Higher Power really hit that mark and almost felt above anything else in that atmosphere, in that uber poppy range. Feels Like I'm Falling in Love and the other singles that we have got so far just feel like they're not quite hitting the mark, blending in a little bit too much for one of the world's biggest bands. However, we will of course have to just wait and see for October 4th, or wait and listen, I should say. Moon Music is thoroughly underway and it is coming very, very soon. And as I mentioned, these are just my opinions. You know, Hymn for the Weekend is my favourite Coldplay song, so what do I know? You may recall that earlier in the show I mentioned the return of a seasonal feature. Well, it's not one from this show, as this show only began in, what was that? April. But before this ain't my first rodeo, I have been podcasting for quite a while now. Or, well, I say quite a while. I've been podcasting for just over 2 years, which I realise is just a small drop in the bucket for some. But for me, it's been some time to upgrade some mics and hopefully gain a little bit of experience. And throughout that time, every winter, I have partaken in one feature. That feature is called Strictly Recap. It is really very, very simple. I started originally, I suppose, just to fill the time on the show, and in a way, it's still doing that, but it's my opportunity to have a little chat about what's going on in Strictly Come Dancing, which, of course, I'm usually an avid watcher of. It's returned for its third week tonight, actually. Obviously, we had the intro show and then the week one dance last week. So by the time you're watching this, the third show will have taken place. So whether you've watched it already or you're just about to begin the binge, getting ready for week 4, ready to go in, here's everything you need to know from the leaderboard on week 1. We begin at the bottom of the leaderboard in 15th place, where pop sensation Toya Wilcox with partner Neil Jones got a 2, a 4, a 2 and a 4 to make a total of 12 points. 5 points above them in a joint position we have Pete Wicks and Jowita Pritzel with 17 points, Paul Merson and Karen Hauer with 17. One above we have Nick Knowles and Luba Mushtuk with a 3, a 5, a 5, and a 5, making up 18. And one above we have Poonam Christian and Gorka Marquez. In with 21 points, we have Shane Ward and Nancy Zhu. That's a 4, a 6, a 5, and a 6. And a whole strew of 23s here. We have Jamie Borthwick, Tom Dean, Sam Quack, and Chris McCausland. 3 points above, we have Wyn Evans, who I'm supporting this year, and Katya Jones, 6, 6, 7, 7, both inverted in different ways for each. Montel Douglas and Johannes Radebe, of course, had the same. Then, both with 30, we have Tasha Gori and Sarah Hadland. And at the very, very top of the leaderboard, with only 9 points away from the perfect score, pretty good for week 1, we have JB Jill and Amy Dowden, who scored a 7, an 8, an 8, and an 8. Very, very impressive for the first week of the show. Who am I supporting this year? I am, as usual, going with the radio presenter. Radio Wells's Wyn Evans, I think, is going to be who I support this year. We'll see how things go. It is only early days, and there wasn't that. Whereas in past years, it's been very obvious in that it's somebody I recognise or know, or in some way I have a personal connection to what they make or what they do, and for that reason, I've supported them. This year around, I haven't had that quite so much, so I'm curious to see how things go. Anywho, will you be tuning in to Strictly this year? Or not so much, not so keen anymore. Will you be focusing on some other winter viewings? We're obviously only a few weeks at this point away, presumably, from I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which is less my cup of tea than the glitzy ballroom of Strictly Come Dancing. But we'll see. It'll probably end up on the viewing pile as well. We'll be back with another Strictly recap to update you on the following weeks in the next episode of Snack Break. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anyone else who may be listening to this podcast, it's the moment you've all been waiting for, the long-awaited announcement of the next guest to join me here on the Snack Break podcast. So far, while our roster may have been limited, it's certainly not been underwhelming, with Smartman discussing his sudden rise to Hoi 4 and YouTube success in episode 3, and Doogie joining us to discuss the beginning of summer, his time on Twitch and YouTube, and aspirations. Now, with 2 more episodes behind us on the show, hey, we didn't say it's a fast-moving podcast, and the October leaves begin to fall, we welcome our newest guest. He's cool. He's calm. He's collected. He loves film. He loves technology. He loves music. He loves Minecraft. And he is the creator of YouTube sensations such as Bored in the House and Mickey Mouse. It is Cruz. Cruz will be joining me in the next episode of the show to discuss music, filmmaking, and Minecraft, as well as, no doubt, a heap of other wonderful things. Cruz, if you don't know, is a very good friend of mine. I included the Bored in the House and Mickey Mouse as a slight joke in that he has often appeared in many of me and my friends' videos and live streams, despite having limited-ish YouTube experience himself. Obviously, his videos are a stylistic choice, you could say. Nonetheless, I am over the moon to be having him on the show, and he's a deep... Well, is he? I am really, really excited to have him on the show, however, and despite his limited YouTube experience, as we mentioned there, he always has a whole wonderful arsenal of conversational topics and tactics at hand. So I'm sure it's going to be a fun one. For now, though, I've been Bentigo Blue, and this has been a Hungry Capybara production. Thank you very much for listening. See you soon. Stay safe. Bye.